When it comes to relationships, if I could only help my clients learn one skill, it would be this: listening to hear. Whether you're a parent, child, spouse, coworker, or friend, the ability to listen, understand, and show that you care is an essential building block to any relationship. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not a naturally good listener. My family and friends probably wouldn't describe me as a great listener. But it is a skill that I've worked on and developed over time. And this episode of Therapy in a Nutshell is going to teach you some of the ways you can improve your listening skills. Empathic listening helps people be more open and less defensive, and creates a space where people are able to understand their emotions better and resolve them. It improves collaborative problem solving, it builds trust and helps people feel connected, and it facilitates the building of emotional intelligence, that is, the ability to understand and express what it is you're feeling. In order to become a better listener, there's a few skills you can actively practice while you're listening to other people. The first one is simply paying attention. Try to focus your mind and thoughts on what they're talking about. The second skill is what one of my professors called shuttupping. That means just stop talking. Talking a lot obviously gets in the way of your ability to be a good listener. I once heard this described as using the hairy eyeball. So when someone says something, you kind of lift your eye. Okay, I'm terrible at this, but you just look interested in what they're saying and they're going to keep talking. You don't have to say a lot of things. Another important step is providing a positive atmosphere using your body language. So opening yourself up, you're not crossing your arms or looking down at the ground, You look at them, you just open yourself up to people. You can give nonverbal encouragement like head nodding and kind of matching the speaker. If they're pacing back and forth, you watch them and you move with them. And you can also invite people to say more by saying things like, "Oh, tell me more," or "Oh, I'd like to hear more about that," or "What happened?" Another really essential skill of good listening is listening for the deeper meaning of what they're talking about. And when you can reflect that back to them, it helps them feel understood. So a child comes home from school and had a rough experience with homework, and if you just engage about the homework, they say, "Oh, I'm no good at math." Then you get in a discussion about the homework. "No, you can do math. Here, let me show you. Here's how to do this problem. Let me fix this." Then you're completely ignoring what the child is feeling, which is maybe, a little bit down or discouraged. So stopping to acknowledge and say, "Okay, I can see that you're feeling discouraged. This is hard," can help them feel like you're on the same page with them and like you understand them. Now, you might not be a good listener if you're doing the following things. And I think a lot of us don't realize it when we're doing these things, that they interfere with our ability to listen or to help the other person feel like we understand them. So good listening is not agreeing or disagreeing. You don't have to agree with someone to listen to them. And I think a lot of people get caught up in that. Remember, our goal is to start with just understanding them. Good listening is not giving advice or teaching. It's not problem solving. It's not saying, "Well, look, it's going to get better tomorrow," or "Don't worry, it's all going to be okay." Don't ask a lot of questions. That's you directing the conversation, and sometimes makes the person who's speaking feel like they're being grilled or interrogated. Problem solving for the other person can often feel like discounting their feelings. If you say things like, "Oh, it's not that bad," or "Oh, if you only did this, that would fix it," it interferes with their ability to feel understood. Saying things like, "Oh, I understand," or "Oh, you think that's bad? Let me tell you about something that happened to me," can really get in the way of helping another person feel understood. Anytime you're trying to change them or convince them of something or sway their opinion, that's an indication that you're not doing a good job listening. Now, this is where a lot of people get their undies all in a bundle about listening skills. They get really frustrated. They say to me, "Well, what, you're saying I can never give advice or I can't help someone?" And that's not the case. Of course, there's a time for advice giving. There's a time for empathizing by saying, "Oh, you know what? That happened to me once." There's a time to encourage someone or to teach them math. But it's not listening. What I'm saying is you start with listening, you start with understanding, you start with acknowledging them and checking to see if you acknowledge them and you're understanding them. So you might say things like, "Oh, so what you're saying is you feel like your teacher doesn't get you, or you're having a hard time listening to your teacher." And you clarify, and then they maybe say, "Yeah, that's it." Or they say, No, that's not the problem. The problem is da-da-da-da-da. And by doing that step, you get to a place where you're both on the same page and they know that you understand them. And after that, if there is a need to give advice or try to share your opinion or change their mind, there might be room for that after. But it always works better after that firm foundation of understanding that they know you understand them. Good listening is hard, but it's hardest with the people we're closest to. That's because when they share something that makes them feel sad or hurt or upset, we feel that same pain and those same emotions. So we often are quick to jump in and try and fix things for them. Or if they're expressing something about us, we tend to be more defensive because we have a stronger emotional reaction to them. So when we're jumping in to fix something or we're jumping in with advice, it might not be because we're trying to help them feel better, but because we're trying to relieve our own discomfort. That means in those times, we have to work twice as hard to use our good listening skills and not immediately try to fix the problem. Even if you have a really good conversation with someone and you're able to share your points of view, but they don't agree with you at the end, at the very least, they'll feel like you understand them. And that's a valuable step forward. Now, if you'd like to practice this, go out there and try and have a 5-minute conversation with someone without asking questions, giving advice, or talking about yourself. This can be quite challenging, but it's a skill that can be developed. Now, one last caveat. If all you're doing is using these listening skills as a way to try and convince or change someone else, so you're thinking, well, if I'm a better listener, I can convince that person to change, then this is all going to backfire on you. People can feel our intentions. They can tell if we actually care or if we're just acting like we're listening or if we're just using some skill on them. Especially teenagers are really good at sniffing out when we're using some new skill. So make sure when you go in to listen to someone, you get your heart in the right place and you try to focus your energy on caring about them and what they have to say. So, thanks for watching. Hope this is helpful. Take care.